Algeria's War of Independence from France has been retold many times in movies and in history books on both sides of the Mediterranean. Now, the French Army Museum in Paris offers the latest narrative, casting a sometimes brutal look at the 132 years of French colonial rule. Exhibit curator Lieutenant Colonel Christophe Bertrand says this past is seared in the minds of many French.
Even
50 years later, even though things are progressively settling down and we can address this history in a way that's a bit less painful.
The history of French occupation in Algeria is explored from many angles. It begins in 1830.
First we settle in Algiers, we settle along the coast, we end the presence of the Ottomans.
Resistance quickly followed, first led by Abdel Kader, the founder of modern Algeria. Over the decades, hundreds of thousands of French settlers, known as Pieds Noirs, flocked to the North African country. Algerians fought alongside French troops in the First and Second World Wars, but the seeds of resistance remained.
May 8, 1945 brings another cycle of violence with the beginning of the insurrection and the beginning of the War of Independence in 1954.
Nearly 8 years later, Algeria was proclaimed independent on July 5, 1962. 50 years later, France is marking the anniversary with a series of events, including another exhibition across town by Algerian artist Mustapha Boutadjine.
It's a series of portraits of revolutionary women. Women who were tortured, raped and killed. It's my way of marking this anniversary, by paying them tribute.
Boutadjine was a child in Algiers during the War of Independence.
My parents were tortured. They lived the revolution like all other Algerians. It's something that I won't forget, but I feel no hatred toward the French.
Ties still bind the two nations. Alongside the returning Pieds Noirs, millions of Algerians have immigrated here. In 2003, former President Jacques Chirac became the first French leader to visit Algeria since independence. But diplomatic relations are still rocky, and the past remains painful. Visiting the Army Museum, Algerian Noureddine Kadre says ties between the two nations could be better.
There shouldn't be any problems in principle, but both sides are stirring things up. They need a more conciliatory policy.
Curator Bertrand thinks historians can help. With time, he believes, both France and Algeria will reconcile with their common past and be able to look ahead. Lisa Bryant for VOA News, Paris.